Hey everybody, it's Rob from Flailthroughs. This is Gundam Battle Operation 2, and this is a guest round from Salty Walty in the Prototype Gundam. Prototype Gundam has not been part of any of the big festivals of buffs yet, so I hope we don't have to wait until November for it to get some kind of tune-up, but as long as it happens eventually, I'd be happy. It is definitely showing its age. If you run the beam rifle as opposed to the hyper bazooka, it does not have a lot of stun options. Once upon a time when this game started, a lot of raids didn't have many, if any, instant stun options. They were just kind of expected to get in there with their maneuver armor and stab. But that was before quite a bit of stunning and heavy staggering weaponry was added to the game, so that has gotten harder and harder to do, even at the lower costs. And this is a fairly high-level proto, I'm going to say, because this is 500, so I think that's going to be level 4? Yeah, 4 out of probably 5. So, yeah, again, the Beam Javelin can do a lot of damage. It's just, it is like the choice for doing a lot of damage at this point, and yeah, the double sabers are not bad either, but yeah, just javelin. The javelin's one of those weapons that is very particular as to land, but if you do, does all the damage. Which, yeah, that narrative Gundam came in and kicked that. I think it's an NTX off of its feet, so that was temporarily out of the way. Its tackle, I swear its shin just kind of grazed the Proto Gundam's head, and that's why Salty got stopped. See, the Nero trainer there faked out an attack pretty well. Salty tackled, and it followed up. So, yeah, that is... again, Nero trainer is definitely a much newer suit with a lot more stun options. Its rifle charges, it has flash grenades, and of course it has a heavy attack. I feel like that's an option for upgrading the Proto Gundam, but I'd kind of like to see, some other way, get tossed around. Like, everything's gotten like beam-based rapid-fire sub-weapons. I feel like a hyper bazooka volley sub-weapon for the Proto when it's using that would be an interesting choice. But also, I do want to see its beam rifle rehabilitated, just because it's not a, well, it was once not a bad weapon. It's always been a little bit on the weak side for what it does, but like I said, now that there are more stun options for everything, even at 350 where Proto Gundam starts out, yeah, it needs help. So, but I don't know. It bugs me when things like like default weapons or signature weapons don't really have the utility of the other options. The Hyper Bazooka is good, but there's, probably 100 things in the game that can use the Hyper Bazooka. And of course that means it is a very difficult weapon to ever buff because, yeah, you are adjusting so many mobile suits if you ever touch it. So, yeah, So, yeah, I feel like the beam rifle, it would be good to adjust the beam rifle. It would be good to give it some kind of other sub-weapon. Salty was saying apparently that like extended compartment on the leg has some kind of attachment, I believe, for the I think it's for the rifle. So that is I didn't know about that, so I think that might have been a more recent addition to its capabilities in the MSV documentation, for lack of a better word. But oh, good catch out of that kick. And yeah, like I said, the beam javelin is kind of hard to land, but again, I like the weird weapons. I like the javelin. I like the Gundam hammer. I want all of those things to be usable, and I feel like there's plenty of space in this game for reliable, straightforward things like the Hyper Bazooka, and then having high risk, high reward things like the Gundam hammer and the beam javelin. That's I'd like to see that combination. Just there's how to put it, just like Also, just Proto Gundam absolutely needs a dodge roll. There is no real reason at this point it should not have one. There's a few other RX-78 derived suits that don't have it. I think they're all supports. The RX-78 Raid that doesn't have emergency evasion, kind of weird. That would be an interesting option too. Not make it like full on like the Aggen, but for example, give it a version of resist move that does like damage to the enemy while the beam javelin is out, just for an example. Not quite as useful as the Aggen's, Sonic the Hedgehog attacks, but, just an option. It really is, again, a very basic suit from very early in the game, and I feel like, there are a bunch of fun things you could do with it, a bunch of things, within its, within its capabilities in game or in lore. But yeah, there's plenty of options. I mean, I've been saying the basic RX-78 needs aerial melee, because it should basically have an aerial melee attack almost just like the Thunderbolt Perfect Gundams. But that would not be a bad option either. For the Proto, give it an aerial melee subweapon. That would be an interesting choice. But that said, I mean, Salty's not doing badly here. He wants to see it buffed too. But for being as outdated as it is, he is doing some good damage here. So, and that is the thing. It just comes down to, any suit can have a good round. It's just how easy is it to actually get one, and how, what kind of resources does it have compared to all the others. I'm glad I've never had to balance a game like this. Like, I was talking to a friend who is big into Street Fighter, and telling him there are 500 playable units in this game, and they rebalance, at least 10 of the between 10 and 30 of them every month. And he was absolutely aghast. Just the idea of all of that happening all the time, and them getting a new unit a week. Granted, it's a whole different thing. Street Fighter is a very different game, but also just, the amount of work that GBO2 puts in, and the amount of time they have to do it, is still sometimes just really staggering. But and because of that, sometimes things do go wrong. Nothing to do about that. Not quite, and that is going to be it, I think. Good stopping tackle, but yeah, let's take a look at the stats. And yeah, I need to try and run this again myself sometime, but yeah, like I said, it would be a good time for this and the RX-78 to get a buff. 105,000 damage, very nice. Didn't beat his rival, but yeah, still really good round. Let's see what that looks like in the end. 3 and 4, 105,000 damage. So just, damage all over everything. That is going to do it for today's Gundam Battle Operation 2. We'll be back soon with more. Till next time, everybody take care and have fun. Later! So, I don't really have a lot to say about the G-Quux finale. I don't want to say too much anyway, because it's only been up about 24 hours, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Definitely a decent ending. Certainly not the worst ending I've ever seen for a Gundam series, or a series by, Gainax veterans. So, yeah, there are definitely parts of this I wish it had more time to breathe. And, there are rumors of a movie coming at some point in the future, and boy, I hope so. Just, anytime they want to do more of this, I'm down for it. I really did enjoy it, so. And I'm probably going to be spending the rest of the year snapping up all the model kits like a fool.